Hello everyone, it's Carter from Coaster Explorers, and today I'm going to be reviewing Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Tatsu is an absolute mammoth of a flying roller coaster. This thing stands 170 feet tall, but it actually looks a lot taller than that since you're on basically the top of a mountain. You're like one of the highest points at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So you can see this thing just towering over everything in the park. It is absolutely gargantuan. Out of all the flying coasters that I've ridden, this one is by far the most intimidating and the most intense. I was pretty nervous going to get on this thing, both of my rides. I got 2 rides on it, once in row 2 and once in row 7. So while I didn't get the very front row or the very back row, I was very close to the front and very close to the back. Guys, these 2 rows could not have been any more different. Let's talk about this absolutely insane roller coaster. If you haven't been on a B&M Flyer before, the boarding process is a lot different than your traditional roller coaster. You get on like a B&M invert almost, especially like Banshee, and you pull down this vest restraint. And then there's also this little like shin guard that covers your shins and your legs. And then you just sit there. And then when they're ready to dispatch, the bottom, like where your legs are, fold up towards the track. So now you're facing the ground. And it is absolutely terrifying, especially if it's your first time riding a B&M Flyer. Next, you're going to pull out of the station and ascend a lift hill. And this one is 170 feet tall. Absolutely huge. But you get easily the best view of any of the flying roller coasters I've been on. I've been on Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Great America, and I've been on Manta at SeaWorld Orlando before this. This one has easily the best view. You can see all kinds of roller coasters. You can see the mountain range. You can see the desert. You can see the pathway below you. It's just great. Once you get to the top, you do a large sweeping turn to the right all the way down, and you go right next to the observation tower, which I'm pretty sure hasn't been open in like a decade, but regardless, it's a cool visual. I've noticed this one has a lot more whip than Superman. It's pretty close to like Manta, but this is just a way bigger version of it. After this, you're going to go through a couple rolls and a couple sweeping bank turns. It's pretty gradual at this point. It feels like every other Flyer, except you're on the top of a mountain, so that adds to it. Where this one starts to differ is this pretzel loop. Unlike other flying coasters where the pretzel loop is literally the first element after the drop, they keep this thing towards the end of the ride, so there's a build up to it. And guys, this pretzel loop is absolutely massive. I thought the pretzel loop on Superman was intense. The one on Manta was even crazier. So this one completely knocked my socks off. This thing is so big that there's even a trim brake at the very bottom of it. I'm not joking. Like, go watch a POV. There's literally a trim brake at the bottom, and it's absolutely hilarious. So you're going to go through this massive pretzel loop, and this is one of the most intense moments I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. While it didn't make me gray out, it did make my entire body shake, and I just felt like my brain was going to explode and all of my bones in my body were getting crushed. It's that intense. It's absolutely insane, and I would not be surprised if after some people experience that element, they don't want to ride this coaster again. I think it's actually too much. Like, it's nuts. People do not lie when they say that element is one of the most intense elements in the world. It is absolutely up there with the most intense. After you're recovering from that massive death trap, you go into a barrel roll, and this is a pretty whippy barrel roll too. It's really cool. And it's a nice contrast from the smooth barrel rolls. Then you're going to go into a helix over the entrance of the park, which is a great visual. And then you have an airtime pop into the brakes. It is very weird getting airtime on a flying coaster, but I really like that sensation. And then you hit the brakes, and you get to sit there facing the ground and the catwalk until they're done loading the other train, which is my biggest gripe with flying coasters. I wish they would have thought out a way to make the seats come back down in the B&M invert position all the way from the brake run to the station, because it would be a much more comfortable experience. I do think it's better than the Vekoma Flying Dutchmans, how you just lay on your back and your blood rushes to your face. Like, I think those are worse, but come on. Like, I don't want to sit there face down looking at puke stains that have been there for 10 years. The other gripe I have with this roller coaster is this one was significantly rougher than the other flying coasters I've been on. I don't know what it was, but both of my rides, it kind of shuffled throughout the layout, especially on the pretzel loop, which I can understand that because the G-forces are so high, but even just the gradual parts of the ride, like it was kind of shuffling back and forth. It wasn't too much to where it took away from the ride experience, but it was definitely noticeable, and it was one of the biggest takeaways from this ride for me, which was a bit unfortunate. In terms of flying coasters, this is obviously the best there is, at least in the United States. It's better than any of the Vekoma Flying Dutchmans I've ridden. It's better than both of the B&M Flyers. I've seen a couple overseas that look like they could give this one a run for its money. But in terms of Flyers, this is top of the line. Now, I'm not going to give this ride a score based on flying coasters because it would be a 10 out of 10. But instead, I'm going to rank this roller coaster in terms of just roller coasters. Like, based on every other roller coaster in the world that I've been on, I'm going to give this roller coaster an 8.5 out of 10. If you like intensity, this ride's for you. If you like flying coasters, this ride's really for you. And if you like good views, once again, this ride is for you. But yeah, that's what I think of Tatsu. I think it's a great ride. It's in my top 30 out of 210 coasters, so that definitely should speak for itself that it's a great ride. If you like flying coasters, definitely go out there and ride that. And if you haven't been to Magic Mountain, I highly, highly recommend it. It's such a great park. But yeah, that's Tatsu. Fantastic flying coaster by B&M. Crazy tall, crazy insane, crazy intense. I could not recommend it more. If you like this video, please think about subscribing and leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.